Now available in paperback and e-readers. John Haynes, 1987. Learn lessons about life and teenage love in the 1980s in this coming-of-age John Haynes story. Get your copy of John Haynes 1987 in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. I was on YouTube for a moment when a prompt flashed on my screen saying that a comment was removed for hate speech. And after I saw this prompt telling me that this comment was removed that I did not make, this triggered an anxiety attack that led me to have severe chest pain. Now, I have been dealing with anxiety for the last year, ever since I was about to turn 50 years old, and as I've been struggling with this anxiety regarding trying to find a way to make a living when I haven't had a job in 15 years, this anxiety has gotten pretty bad to the point where I have episodes of chest pain out here when I'm really stressed. And as related to that anxiety, it really has made me really rethink being on social media and has me pondering about looking to possibly delete all of my social media in order to maintain my mental health. Now, back in 2008, God had told me to keep going after I lost my job at the City College of New York in 2008, and as I look to try to follow the Most High God, I have been trying to persevere to try to continue to build my business, the SJS Direct Imprint. Unfortunately, when I look at the scope of social media, I don't think I can continue to build on the social media platforms because the social media platforms in and of themselves have become extremely too toxic. Because over the last 16 years on these social media platforms, people have become extremely polarized, and as they have become extremely polarized, instead of the internet being a space where people can amicably trade ideas and learn about things, what people have become is extremely emotional, and as they have become extremely emotional, what has happened to social media is that it has become an antisocial environment, and as social media has become an antisocial environment, it has become extremely toxic and an extremely toxic place to go out here and look to do any sort of work like I try to do on these platforms. Because the main reason why I came on to YouTube and other social media was to build my SJS Direct Publishing imprint and hope to try to generate more sales of my books. Unfortunately, over the month of July, I have only had 5 sales for that month, and as I was looking to try to continue to persevere, unfortunately, this episode of anxiety basically has me looking to rethink being on social media because the entire social media platform in and of itself basically has become such a toxic and hostile place that I do not believe that I can go and look to build any further as related to these platforms, because these platforms basically have become such a toxic place. They basically are looking and feeling more like a sewer, because instead of people looking to exchange ideas like we used to in the days of the old internet, where people could go out here and agree to disagree and basically move on, what we have today on today's social media are a lot of individuals who basically are so polarized and caught up in their feelings that you cannot look to exchange any sort of ideas or be able to express yourself unless you basically look to go out here and act in a dysfunctional fashion. And this type of social media environment basically is so toxic that I am really looking to rethink being on these social media sites. And again, I have pondered basically looking to delete all of this media, even though this is one of the ways that I basically make a living. I mean, while I do need the money, I do need to maintain my mental health, and this place has basically become an insane asylum filled with toxic individuals who basically, again, are so caught up in their feelings to the point where they have no sense of boundaries. And with these individuals not understanding what boundaries are, they basically look to escalate any situation into an argument. And as they look to escalate things into an argument, they basically look to make everything so hostile and, again, just untenable to be in. And this untenable environment basically, again, I really cannot really think to continue to be here. I mean, I'm trying to hang on because I'm trying to follow God and keep going, but I don't believe I can. I'm pondering whether I can go on any further as related to this social media, because this social media has just become a dark and twisted place. A dark and twisted place that really reminds me a lot of the dark days of my adolescence when I was attending places like IS 148 and Park West High School. And while those teenagers basically, you could excuse their out of control behavior on them basically having to deal with hormones and adolescence. But I look at these adults, and again, it's really sad because here we have grown people continuing to act in a very erratic and out of control way. Again, an extremely erratic and out of control way. Moreover, you have the YouTube system basically filled with a lot of bots that basically are out here, again, accusing people of things that they did not do. And I'm looking at the social media, and again, I just really, while I thought I needed it for my business, I really am thinking, do I need to do business on these platforms? Because when I look at these platforms, it's not about professionalism anymore, because a lot of people these days are taking stuff so personal. And because they take stuff so personal, what they do is go out here and just act out in a very just dysfunctional fashion. And as they act out in that dysfunctional fashion, I just am really thinking, do I need to be on these platforms? Do I really need to be on these platforms if my mission is to create positive stories about the Black experience, to look to uplift and empower Black people? And do I really want to be here if, when I'm trying to do books like The Man Crisis and Stop Simping to Help Men, if those men don't want help? I mean, why should I continue to stay on these platforms? This is what I'm pondering to myself, because when I look at this social media, again, it's turned into a toxic waste dump. And I talked about this in a live stream about 2 weeks ago about how toxic social media has become. And it seems with the 2024 presidential election, the toxicity has escalated to the point where it's looking like a nuclear explosion, with all of this, again, toxicity escalating on social media. I'm not seeing a place where there's an opportunity to exchange ideas, where people are so emotional and so caught up in their feelings about things that anybody who just presents a different talking point, like Mr. Superboy used to do, Your World, when he was on here, is called hate speech. I mean, this man basically presented logic and reason and didn't really bother anybody. And when I look at that and I see, again, reasonable people being kicked off platforms, it shows me there's a problem with this social media, and people are so caught up in their feelings. And again, I came here to promote my books and do my work, but I just don't think I can work on these platforms anymore. I don't think I can do that, because if I'm getting anxiety to the point where it's causing me chest pain, I can't do this on these platforms. And again, it really shows the sad state of these platforms, because these social media platforms are blank spaces. They're blank spaces for people to express themselves. And what is presented on social media these days is a reflection of those people, and a reflection of those people that really shows me how twisted we have become since the days of when Barack Obama was running for office. I mean, back in 2008, the whole social media was again a positive environment, but over the last 16 years, as we've had people come out here on these social media platforms, it's become again not only an antisocial environment, but I would say a depraved environment that's becoming more and more depraved, and really reminds me a lot of the trash TV era of the Jerry Springer show, where people's dysfunction was on display. And I don't know if I want to be on these platforms, because if you cannot reason with people and everybody is in their feelings and everybody is watching for emotion, we have a real serious problem on these social media platforms. We have a real serious problem because, again, this was supposed to be an information superhighway, and I'm not seeing much information being presented anymore. No, in the 25 years that the internet has been evolving, it's really like I see people's intellect evolving ever since, again, Barack Obama and then the smartphone coming out. People have gone from being able to reason with each other, and this has further been exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic. And again, I don't know if I can do this anymore. That's what I'm pondering at this point. I don't know if I can do this anymore, because I look at this landscape of the internet and I look at this landscape of social media, and I'm not seeing anything that I would want to be a part of. I mean, when I came here, again, I came here first in 2011 when I saw black men getting their voices silenced, and I spoke out on that. And then I didn't feel like I was ready, so I continued to do my blogs, trying to help men with men's issues. And eventually in 2013, I decided to start speaking out on things. But when I look at this whole social media, I don't think you can speak to people. And that's where I have to, again, as after taking years to rediscover my voice, I'm starting to realize that sometimes you just have to be silent and just walk away, because when you have toxic people shouting everybody down, there's no way you can talk to someone on that platform. And that's what happened to MySpace back in 2010. MySpace became a toxic environment to the point where nobody could go out here and have that discourse that artists and creative people and just plain old people who had gifts and talent could have. No, the place had been taken over by dysfunctional individuals who were looking to basically flood the site with toxic content. And when I look at social media these days, it's just too toxic. And with me being older, I just think about my mental health and my physical health. And I think about the late Kevin Samuels, and I think one of the things that led to the death of Kevin Samuels was being on this toxic social media, dealing with these toxic individuals day after day. I mean, yeah, you can rake in the cash, but the whole thing is the money worth it? And that's the critical question I'm asking myself. Is the money worth dealing with toxic individuals? I mean, Kevin Samuels basically is in a grave right now, I believe, because he basically was on these platforms dealing with these toxic individuals who basically, again, just live to be miserable in their own company and don't care that they're reflecting toxicity online. I mean, that's what I've been seeing with these polarized individuals. And again, polarized individuals who are escalating their behavior. And I think about, again, my own health. And I'm getting to the point where, yes, I want to obey God and keep going, but I can't continue. I don't know if I can continue to go on these platforms anymore. Now available in paperback and e-readers, The Temptation of John Haynes. Give in to temptation and pick up this action-packed African-American paranormal romance. Get The Temptation of John Haynes in paperback and e-readers today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.